They said I'd never recover from what they did to me. That I'd be broken forever. That victims like me just learn to live with the pain. They were wrong. Because I didn't just recover. I rebuilt. I rose. And then I made absolutely certain they understood the cost of underestimating me. This is the story of how I went from victim to victor. You're going to want to stick around for this. And hit that subscribe button, because this story has a twist, and trust me, they never saw it coming. My name is Taylor Miller, and 3 years ago, I lost everything in a single day. My business. My reputation. My savings. My confidence. All because two people I trusted decided I was easier to destroy than compete with. I was 29 years old, running a boutique marketing agency in Seattle that I'd built from nothing. 10 employees, impressive client roster, featured in Forbes 30 Under 30. I'd worked 80-hour weeks for 5 years straight to build something that mattered. My business partner was my college best friend, Jordan Blake. We'd started the agency together in my apartment, fueled by ramen and ambition. He handled operations and finance. I handled creative and client relationships. We were unstoppable. Or so I thought. My lead account manager was Sienna Cross, brilliant, charismatic, and ruthlessly ambitious. I'd hired her 2 years in, promoted her quickly, trusted her with our biggest clients. She was like family. They were both secretly planning to destroy me. It started small. Clients suddenly going cold after years of perfect relationships. Projects mysteriously over budget. Missed deadlines I didn't know about until clients were already furious. I worked harder, trying to fix problems I didn't understand. I stayed later, triple-checked everything, apologized to confused clients who swore they'd never received deliverables I knew we'd sent. Then came the day everything collapsed. A Friday in November. I arrived at the office to find the locks changed. My key card didn't work. When I called Jordan, he answered on the first ring. "Taylor, we need to talk. The board voted to remove you from the company." "What board?" "We don't have a board. It's just us." "Not anymore. I brought in investors 6 months ago. You've been outvoted. Security will escort you out if you try to enter the building." My brain couldn't process it. "Jordan, what the fuck are you talking about? You've been erratic, Taylor. Losing clients. Missing deadlines. The company's bleeding money because of your mismanagement. We can't afford to keep you on." None of that was true. None of it. I built this company, and I'm saving it. Your severance paperwork will be emailed. Don't contact any clients or employees. You signed a non-compete. Use it and we'll sue. He hung up. I stood on the sidewalk outside my own company, watching people I'd hired walk past me to their desks, unable to meet my eyes. Sienna saw me through the window. She smiled and waved, then turned back to her computer. That's when I knew. They'd planned this together. The next 3 months were the darkest of my life. I couldn't work in marketing. The non-compete Jordan had slipped into our partnership agreement was ironclad. Every client we'd ever had was off limits for 2 years. My savings evaporated paying rent on an apartment I could no longer afford. My reputation was destroyed. Word spread fast in Seattle's tight-knit marketing community. Taylor Miller had been fired from their own company for incompetence. Former colleagues stopped returning calls. Networking contacts went silent. I couldn't even get an interview for positions I was overqualified for. I moved into my parents' basement in Tacoma. At 29 years old, sleeping in my childhood bedroom, I hit rock bottom. My mother found me crying on the bathroom floor one night. "They took everything," I sobbed. "And there's nothing I can do about it." She sat down beside me, her hand on my shoulder. "Then stop trying to get back what they took," she said quietly. "And start building something they can't touch." That conversation changed everything. I stopped wallowing. Stopped applying for jobs in Seattle. Stopped trying to salvage a reputation Jordan and Sienna had systematically destroyed. Instead, I started investigating. My father had been a forensic accountant before retiring. He taught me how to dig through public records, corporate filings, financial statements. We spent weeks reconstructing what had happened to my company. What we found was stunning. Jordan hadn't brought in investors. He'd taken out massive business loans using the company as collateral, loans I'd never signed off on, but that carried my forged signature. He created a shadow board of directors consisting of his college buddies who had zero stake in the company but voted however he told them to. He'd been systematically routing client payments through shell accounts, making it look like we were losing money when in fact revenue was higher than ever. And Sienna? She'd been feeding false information to clients, telling them I was having mental health issues, that I was unreliable, that they should work directly with her instead. Then she'd use those client complaints as evidence of my incompetence. It was fraud. All of it. Elaborate, premeditated fraud. "This is enough to file charges," my father said, staring at the spreadsheets we'd built. "Taylor, they committed multiple felonies." "Good," I said calmly. "But I'm not filing charges yet." "What?" "Why not?" "Because if I report them now, they'll just get arrested, the company will collapse, and they'll file bankruptcy. The fraud charges might stick, but I'll never get my company back. I'll just be a victim who got justice. And you want more than justice. I want everything they took from me. And then I want them to watch me succeed with it." My mother looked at me with something between concern and pride. "What are you planning?" I smiled for the first time in months. "I'm going to destroy them the same way they destroyed me. Slowly. Systematically. And completely legally. Phase 1, build the weapon I couldn't work in marketing in Seattle. But Portland was only 3 hours away, and my non-compete didn't extend to Oregon. I took a job at a mid-sized agency in Portland for half my previous salary. Entry-level position, no management responsibilities, pure grunt work. My new colleagues thought I was overqualified and slightly pathetic, a washed-up 29-year-old taking orders from 24-year-olds fresh out of college. I let them think that. While I worked my day job, I spent every night and weekend building something new. A marketing automation platform. Software that could do in hours what took agencies weeks. AI-powered content generation, automated campaign optimization, predictive analytics for ROI. I taught myself to code. Hired freelance developers in Eastern Europe with the last of my savings. Slept 4 hours a night for 8 months straight. My parents watched me work with a mixture of worry and awe. "You're going to burn out," my father warned. I already burned out. This is what rising from the ashes looks like. By month 9, I had a working prototype. By month 12, I had my first paying customer, a small business in Portland willing to take a chance on unknown software. The results were immediate and stunning. Their customer acquisition costs dropped 40%. Their conversion rates doubled. Their revenue increased 60% in 3 months. I used that case study to get 5 more clients. Then 10. Then 20. I named the company Phoenix Digital. Because I'm not subtle. By month 18, Phoenix Digital had 50 clients across Oregon and Washington. Revenue was climbing. And I was getting noticed. Forbes reached out for an interview. TechCrunch featured us in their startups to watch list. Marketing publications started calling the platform revolutionary. And then, exactly as I'd planned, Jordan called. "Taylor! Holy shit, I just saw the TechCrunch article. This platform looks incredible." I let the silence stretch for a beat. "Jordan. Listen, I know things ended badly between us, but I'm so glad to see you landing on your feet. This is amazing. Really. Thank you. I'm actually calling because, and hear me out, I think there could be an opportunity for us to work together again." There it was. Work together how? Your platform is exactly what agencies need right now. And my company has the client base and infrastructure to scale it fast. We could partner. You provide the tech, we provide the distribution. We'd both make a fortune. Interesting. What's the split? I'm thinking 60 to 40. We take the larger share since we're bringing the clients and taking on the operational risk. Of course he was. Let me think about it, I said. Can you send me your current financials? I'll need to see the company's position before committing to anything. Absolutely. I'll have my CFO send everything over. Taylor, I'm really glad we can move past the old drama. What happened was unfortunate, but this is a chance to do something even bigger together. I agree. This is definitely a chance to do something big. We hung up. I stared at my phone, then started laughing. I laughed until tears ran down my face. My mother knocked on my bedroom door. You okay? He actually thinks I'm going to partner with him. After everything. He thinks I've forgotten. Have you? Not for a single second. Phase 2, gather the evidence. Jordan's CFO sent the financials within 48 hours. They were a disaster. The company was drowning in debt from the fraudulent loans Jordan had taken out. Revenue was down 30% because, surprise, I'd actually been the one bringing in and retaining clients. Sienna had lost half our accounts within a year. They were desperate. That's why Jordan had reached out. But the financials also gave me something else, proof. Detailed proof of every fraudulent transaction, every forged signature, every shell account. I forwarded everything to my father. This is enough, he said. We can file charges now and they'll go to prison. Not yet. I need them to dig deeper. I set up a meeting with Jordan and Sienna at a coffee shop in Seattle, neutral ground since I still couldn't enter my old office. They arrived together, all smiles and professional handshakes. Sienna hugged me. Taylor, you look amazing. Success suits you. I smiled back. Thanks. You too. We sat down and I walked them through a fake partnership proposal I'd spent weeks crafting. It was compelling, detailed, and completely designed to get them talking. The platform could integrate directly with your existing systems, I explained. But I'd need full access to your client database and operational infrastructure to set it up properly. Jordan nodded enthusiastically. Done. Whatever you need. I'd also need to understand your current financial position more clearly. The documents your CFO sent were helpful, but I need the full picture. All accounts, all loans, complete transparency. Of course. We're an open book. No, you're not, I thought. But you're about to be. Over the next month, Jordan and Sienna gave me everything. Full access to company systems. Complete financial records. Client contracts. Employee agreements. Everything. They thought they were giving their future partner due diligence materials. They were actually giving me the evidence to destroy them. I documented every fraudulent loan, every forged signature, every shell account transaction. I recorded meetings where they bragged about how they'd saved the company by removing me. I collected emails where Sienna admitted to poisoning client relationships against me. And then I found something even better. They'd been embezzling. Not just defrauding me, but stealing from the company itself. Routing payments to personal accounts. Faking expense reports. Taking luxury business trips that were actually vacations. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, all meticulously documented in files they'd handed me voluntarily. "Taylor," my father said, staring at the evidence we'd compiled. This is extensive prison time. For both of them." "I know. What's your play?" I pulled out a folder I'd been preparing. Phase 3. Phase 3, the takeover. I called a meeting with Jordan and Sienna to finalize the partnership. They showed up excited, ready to sign contracts, already spending money they thought they'd make from my platform. Instead, I slid a different folder across the table. "What's this?" Jordan asked. "Evidence of fraud. Yours specifically. Forged signatures on loan documents. Embezzlement. Shell accounts. All of it documented, notarized, and ready to file with the SEC and FBI." The color drained from both their faces. Sienna recovered first. "You're bluffing." Page 12. Wire transfer from client account to your personal account, marked as a consulting fee for a consulting service that doesn't exist. Page 27. Jordan's signature on a $200,000 loan using my forged authorization. Page 43. Email from you, Sienna, to a client saying I was having a breakdown and they should stop working with me. That's defamation, by the way. Jordan was shaking. "Taylor, listen, I'm not finished. I've spent 18 months documenting every illegal thing you've done. The fraud. The embezzlement. The defamation. And I've spent the last 6 weeks getting you to voluntarily hand me even more evidence while you thought we were negotiating a partnership." Sienna's voice was ice. "What do you want?" "The company. All of it. You're going to sign over your shares to me immediately. You're going to resign from all positions. You're going to issue a public statement that I was wrongfully terminated and that you take full responsibility for mismanagement." "And if we refuse?" Jordan asked. "Then I file these documents with law enforcement this afternoon, and you both spend the next 5 to 10 years in federal prison for fraud and embezzlement. Your choice." Silence. "You fucking bitch," Sienna hissed. I smiled. "I prefer Victor, actually. You have 1 hour to decide." They signed. Both of them, shaking with rage and fear, signed over their shares and resigned. The public statement went out that afternoon. After careful review, we acknowledged that Taylor Miller was wrongfully removed from the company. We take full responsibility for mismanagement and are stepping down immediately. Taylor Miller is resuming leadership effective immediately. I walked back into my company exactly 2 years after they'd locked me out. The employees who'd avoided my eyes before now scrambled to welcome me back. Some apologized. Some pretended nothing had happened. I fired half of them within the first week. Then I got to work. I integrated Phoenix Digital's platform into the agency's operations. Brought back clients Jordan and Sienna had lost. Hired new talent. Restructured everything. Within 6 months, revenue was up 80%. Within a year, we doubled in size. Forbes ran another feature, the comeback story of the year, Taylor Miller's stunning return. I framed it and hung it in my office, right next to the original Forbes 30 Under 30 article from before Jordan and Sienna destroyed me. But I wasn't done yet. Phase 4, expansion. Jordan and Sienna had signed non-competes as part of their resignation agreements. They couldn't work in marketing in Seattle for 5 years. Jordan moved to California, taking a middle management position at a tech company for a fraction of his previous salary. Sienna tried freelancing but couldn't get clients. Her reputation was ruined after the public statement and word spread about the fraud. Last I heard, she was working in real estate. I didn't gloat. I didn't send petty messages or publicly shame them beyond what was necessary for the legal process. I just succeeded. Loudly and visibly. I expanded Phoenix Digital into a full-service platform that other agencies licensed. Raised a series of funding round at a $50 million valuation. Hired 50 more employees. Opened offices in Portland, San Francisco, and Austin. Every success felt like vindication. Every milestone was proof that they hadn't broken me. 3 years after Jordan changed the locks on me, I was featured on the cover of Entrepreneur magazine. The headline, From Victim to Victor, How Taylor Miller Built an Empire After Losing Everything. People ask me all the time if it was worth it. If the years of pain, planning, and grinding were worth the revenge. Here's my answer. It wasn't revenge. It was justice. It was reclamation. It was refusing to let people who tried to destroy me define my story. They thought I'd disappear quietly. That I'd be too broken, too defeated, too scared to fight back. They underestimated my capacity for patience. For strategy. For sheer fucking determination. I didn't just get my company back. I built something bigger than what they took. I created a platform that revolutionized the industry. I proved that the skills they claimed I didn't have were exactly the skills that made me succeed without them. And yes, watching them lose everything while I rose was satisfying. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't. But the real victory wasn't their downfall. The real victory was discovering that I didn't need them. That I was always the driving force behind our success. That being knocked down to zero forced me to build something even better. They took everything from me. So I built an empire they couldn't touch. And that's the difference between a victim and a victor. Victims let the story end with their destruction. Victors rewrite the ending entirely. Today, Miller Digital, I renamed it after taking back control, is valued at $200 million. Phoenix Digital, now our proprietary platform, is used by 2,000 agencies worldwide. I employ 200 people across 4 offices. Jordan works in middle management at a company you've never heard of. Sienna sells houses in Bellevue. I don't think about them much anymore. They're footnotes in a story about resilience, not the main characters they thought they were. My mother was right. I couldn't get back what they took. But I could build something they couldn't touch. And I did. If you've ever been betrayed by people you trusted, if you've ever lost everything and had to start from zero, if you've ever been underestimated by people who thought you'd stay down, share your story below, because here's what I learned: the people who try to destroy you are often just afraid of what you're capable of building without them. They weren't stronger than me. They were just willing to be cruel, and cruelty might win battles, but resilience wins wars. From victim to victor isn't just a catchy phrase. It's a choice. A daily choice to get up, to rebuild, to refuse to let your worst moment define your life. They thought they'd written my ending. Instead, they just gave me a hell of a prologue.